Hello and welcome to the A&P. I am Alex Johansson and my co-host Patrick McCallum. Patrick.
Hello everyone, how are you getting on?
We're having logical discussions about the state of the world. Let's get into it, brother. Hey-o, Patrick, how you doing, bud?
Not too bad at all, not too bad. So Good. This is going to be a very harrowing video that we're about to watch.
It's really
I think that we should caveat that at the start.
For sure. There are some things going on that SVU detective Richard High from the Buffalo PD has brought to light. He brought it to light on the Unsubscribed podcast. There's going to be some mature concepts. There's going to be some difficult things to work through. We have our producer here today with us, old Doubting Thomas. You there, bud?
How's it going, folks?
I'm doing okay. I think Patrick's doing okay. We're including the introduction from Eli Double Tap from the Unsubscribed podcast and all of the commentary, literally the entire video. We'll be stopping it as we go, but we're not going to remove any of the content that they have put out. We're not going to chop anything out. The entirety of this message needs to go. So we're going to go ahead and start it up right now.
If you can't tell by the thumbnail, this episode, it's not even an episode. It is something Rich, you know him as Angry Cups, brought to light. And it is something that even now I'm at a loss of words to how to even explain it. I will say viewer discretion is advised, and it does have to deal with kids. I truly believe everyone should see this message. And I know this community. We know this community, and we know you guys will help make this right and make a difference. And really quick, so much love for Rich and what he is doing and the purpose of this. All the AdSense and money that this video generates is going to be donated to the Buffalo, New York Family Justice Center. And the other reason it is running is because in order to reach as many people as possible, this is how you have to do it. Otherwise, it gets restricted. And we didn't want that for this message. Angry Cops, Rich, we will support you till the end of times with this. And I know all of you will do the same. We here, you all, we defend those who might need a little help or who don't have a voice. So again, viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unsubscribed podcast. Rich has something important to say, and we would like for you all to hear it.
You ready to get sued?
Yeah.
No?
Let's go.
All right. So this is this is real, and this can affect my life, but it's at the moment where it's one of those things where you got to do the right thing or not. And I didn't want to ruin the actual podcast with it. I wanted to wait till later on just in case. So here's the deal. I've been in SVU in the Buffalo Police Department for 2 years, and there was a space in between it where I left SVU, the Special Victims Unit.
So SVU is a Special Victims Unit. They deal with kid crimes and those kinds of things that are pretty much the most unsavory and most unpalatable kind of crimes that are committed by bad actors in society.
And I went to two other, I got promoted to lieutenant and then went to the FBI and assisted with that, and I'm back in SVU. But during those 2 years, even before then, there has been an issue where the Buffalo school system, specifically their legal representatives in the city, like the city attorneys that specifically work for Buffalo Public Schools, right? So I'm not sure if that's the city of Buffalo buying these attorneys and having them protect them, or if it's like the schools, like lawyers for the schools as their own thing. But either way, long story short, the Buffalo school system has been intentionally not reporting the assaults of student between student, and then has also used the Buffalo Police Department's school resource officers to write reports and then had their influence over those officers to then close the reports. And that's a story I'll get into.
Right. So soft pitch, why are they doing that?
I don't know. My best estimate is that they're afraid or don't want the numbers to show that there are these police investigations occurring at their schools or assaults occurring at their schools because it could affect funding or something somehow, which, by the way, is fucking stupid. If a crime happens at a school, it doesn't mean that funding is then stopped or prevented from going to that school. Oftentimes, if there's a problem, people will pour money into that problem to fix it. And I'm going to give you an example.
So I think this is a public face issue, right? On its face, the school is failing the children in some way, so they figure if they can sweep it under the rug, then maybe they can like stop that look, right?
Yes, you see that quite a lot actually, not just in schools, but in other sectors. Thinking of Boy Scouts and so on.
So other
it's all about
youth service organizations and stuff like that.
Yeah, trying to protect the organization and their funding, but in protecting the individual. I think that goes across both over here, say in Ireland, as well as obviously in the US as well. It's a massive issue.
It is
massive issue.
Well, the kids don't have agency. They don't know. A lot of them get hurt, and they don't know that there's an avenue to do something about it because they don't have enough experience.
Yeah, they don't have the wherewithal to access tools or talk to adults or verbalize the trauma that they have gone through.
Right.
This is a real example. There's a school that's attached to the Buffalo Science Museum. That school that's attached to the Buffalo Science Museum has doors that can go from the Science Museum into the school. Those doors are not locked. Individuals can get into them, right? Stranger danger, right? And that happened. So a stranger went into the school. It's a grade school. It's a very low school. And this person...
So grade school is elementary school. It's going to be either kindergarten through 5 or kindergarten through 6th grade.
Yeah.
So they're going to be 6 to 11 or 12-year-old kids. So
we call them primary schools over here.
So that's a pretty... Go ahead.
Yeah, we call them primary schools. We call primary schools here.
So it's obviously a vulnerable population of young people. So here we go.
Grabbed a male and a female child.
It's a very low school.
Low grade school.
So it's like 1st through 5th.
Yeah. So kids under the age of 10.
Oh fuck.
So it goes into the school and grabs a young female child and a male child and tries to leave. And I'm gonna parcel this story up in kind of the way that the information came in. At first, the information that came in was that there was one female child that was an attempted abduction. There was no report about the second child. Kind of a big deal. The second child, the boy, had pissed himself. And when his parents came, sorry, I'm getting fucked up. When his parents came to pick him up.
Take your time, brother.
Yeah, sorry. Give me a second.
You're all right, man.
When his parents came to pick him up, the school did not disclose to the parent that the kid was a part of an attempted abduction. So when the parents asked him, why did my kid piss his pants at school? The teachers and the people in charge did not tell them that there was an attempted abduction.
So that's a felony. Like whoever that stranger person, that's a felony.
That's a crime here as well.
Well, it's kidnapping. It's an attempted abduction. There's a lot of negative penal code violations that are like really, really, really bad things against kids. So
exactly the same laws here.
Right, and I can see why Detective High is in this emotional state.
Yeah.
Like you're not protecting children. It's your job to protect these children, and you're just not doing it. And I've worked with youth in the past, as have you, and that is a vulnerable population. You know.
Yes, I'm just shocked that, as he said, the doors weren't secured, the exits weren't secured. In this case, a stranger just literally walked off the street into the school, and wow.
Well, it's a failure of the plant, right? The structure, the structure of the building, that's an incorrect structure problem, right? It's like when you go to the hospital, the baby ward is locked up real good. Locked up real good. They don't want anybody stealing babies from the nursery, and I don't want somebody stealing my baby from the primary school.
There's security officers everywhere, on all exits. But I'm shocked that not only did they fail to protect the kids, the fact that they tried to cover it up after the fact is unbelievable as well.
Well, I think.
Well,
doesn't that make them like? Is the word complicit? Are they complicit in the action if they don't appropriately? Well, I'm sure he'll go into it. They should have reported it. There should have been something that happened a whole lot sooner on it. So here we go.
School then deleted the video of the attempted abduction.
The fuck?
In the district attorney's office, excuse me.
Did you hear what he just said? Deleted the video that showed the thing that
that's
happened.
Unbelievable.
That is absolutely reckless. That is so unbelievable. Maybe we'll have our producer look up hey, Doubting Thomas, look up the penal code on that in the state of New York for destruction of evidence, and then the penal code for attempted abduction, if you don't mind. All right, go ahead, Patrick.
Wow, that's unbelievable. There's a massive crime over here as well to do something like this. Right. That's what I shocked. Wow.
And the district attorney's office only got it because somebody within the school had the wherewithal to record it and then give it to them. The district attorney's office has sent subpoenas, so like court order documents from judges that are signed, to the school's legal representatives, and those representatives have intentionally not responded to them. Now, here's the weird thing, which is like this is the biggest issue right here.
So there's two kinds of subpoenas that are generally issued by courts in the United States. One is a deposition subpoena to appear to give testimony. The other one is called the deposition subpoena ducis tecum. And the ducis tecum is to provide documentation, paperwork, media, CDs, floppy disks, cassettes, 8-tracks, whatever the media evidence is that's recorded. Right. So anything of evidentiary value. So ducis tecum, or production of documents, right? So the DA's office sent over to the Buffalo schools, the school district, hey, this is a deposition subpoena, ducis tecum. You need to provide us this stuff. Like you have to give this to us. You can't not do it. Once the court says, give me the thing, you have to give them the thing. And generally speaking, you have
exactly the same laws here as well.
Right. You have approximately
exactly the same here.
Right. You have approximately 15 days, unless you're in a discovery portion of a trial. Then you have a little bit more time once you're going through the discovery motions. So here we go.
Here is that specific one is the one that sent me over the edge. Obviously, I'm emotional from it. So the biggest issue with this entire story, well, one of the issues with this entire story is that when subpoenaed, these legal representatives for the Buffalo School Department are ignoring the subpoenas and not just not responding to them, but being obstructionists and actually giving information to school administrators and school personnel to not talk to the police or assist the police in any way. In fact, to obstruct us, like intentionally, do not do these things. Here's how you prevent the police from doing their job. So, and here's where like this crux is coming in, why it's kind of a whistleblower thing, is there are people that are trying to get this information from the schools, and the main obstructionist are these lawyers who, once again, I said, are ignoring subpoenas and court orders. And the only way that you can overcome that is if somebody from the court system, judge, attorney general's office in New York State, the attorney general of the United States, comes down and says, why are you not responding to these court orders? You're ordered to respond to them and you're not. And in this specific case, like destruction of evidence, which is huge. and then not telling one of the, you know, the kid's parents.
No, if somebody comes forward, you said somebody had the wherewithal to record the surveillance video or whatever it was.
Yeah.
If somebody comes forward with that, that's still usable as evidence.
So they
right?
have to, that person, that's a weird thing about New York State. And I'm not a lawyer, and my knowledge is limited in that, but from my understanding, you need to have somebody confirm the authenticity of the recording. So
So you need to figure out the appropriate admissibility of the evidence as it's presented. So
yeah, we have exactly the same over here.
Right, there's a chain of evidence.
So a person literally, yeah,
right.
We have exactly the same here. Somebody has to physically go into court and say this is what it is.
Right, it's a chain of evidence issue. It could be a declaration that says that this is appropriate and this is where and how I got it. So you have to show a chain of evidence, like how did I get this information or this media or whatever Perduces Tecum you've provided, right? So
we have exactly the same laws here.
And then being obstructionist is disgusting to me. That just makes me sick to my stomach. Like you are going great lengths.
Wow. The fact that they destroyed evidence like that.
Yeah.
It's
well, then
mind-boggling.
Responding and then not giving them the stuff. I mean, it's insane. It is insane.
It's a CCTV of...
Say again?
The fact that they destroyed evidence. The fact that they destroyed evidence as well. It's unbelievable.
It's kind of scary, right?
Never seen anything. Yeah.
Yep.
Like a corner store. The manager or a worker would have to show up to court and say, that is the video that from my store. When it comes from, and I don't know if this is how it was done, but let's say like a cell phone recorded the CCTV footage, and then they were like, hey, they deleted the real CCTV footage, and then gave it to the assistant district attorney. You would need somebody to authenticate that, which would, and this is where the legal process is weird to me. I'm not sure if that means that the individual that sent the CCTV recording from their phone would have to state, I'm so and so, I recorded that with my phone. I was in the office of such and such school, and this is recording of our CCTV footage. Or if that means that any representative from the school can say, no, what that person recorded is our CCTV footage.
Gotcha. So whoever recorded versus anyone could say yes and verify that.
So I'm not sure. Like that's something for like the lawyers to do. I'm not sure how that process goes, but
generally speaking, in every court, there's court rules that identify how they want those things done. Like if you do evidence, sometimes they want your tabs to be labeled 1, 2, 3, or they want your tabs to be labeled A, B, C, or they want a certain kind of declaration. Like he was saying, like, I don't know which way it goes. And that's just based on the rules in that superior court, because even the county superior courts and the district courts, appellate courts, SCOTUS, every court has rules that apply to how they want the presentation of their documentation to come across. So there's a uniformity, at least across your county or your state or whatever.
Okay, that makes sense.
Whatever legal entity there is, right? Yeah. So that's what they have to get organized with that. They just have to figure out how to authenticate it so it's admissible so they can move forward with whatever they have to move forward with. And I certainly hope they move forward with making this right for the kids. I certainly do.
Yes.
Yeah.
School district did that?
Dude, I'm telling you, it's a lot of the schools. When I say that's the worst example that I have, which is obviously a horrible example, I can't tell you the amount of shit that I have to go through in order to go to a school, talk to a principal and say, what did the kid tell you? And they'll go, I can't talk to you. I've got to talk to my lawyers. And we're like, it's in your job to protect the kids. I can't tell you how many. Let's tell you another one. I had a girl of his.
If anybody who works at the school wants to tell you that they have to talk to a lawyer before they can assist a detective, especially an SVU detective whose job it is to protect our children.
But but the funny thing is, I've talked to members of the Gardaí who worked around this area, and the first thing our principal or our teacher will show at you is what we have over here called the Data Protection Act. Under Data Protection Act, I can't tell you such and such, and the Gardaí has to go away and they have to get a warrant, like he has to, and come back, and then we have roughly the same roadblocks different, as I say, the different BS, but same road, different wording, but same roadblocks.
Right. Well, if I'm working in a school and I know a bad thing has happened, and I'm a mandatory reporter, right?
Yes.
And the principal, the school counselors, teachers, they're all mandatory reporters. If someone comes to them and says X happened, then they need to go through the appropriate chains of whoever it is that needs to be reported to that a bad thing has happened, right? So it looks like they're in dereliction of their function, right? If you're a mandatory reporter and you don't report,
it's a legal mandate over here. If you're a mandatory reporter and you withhold that information, you can be prosecuted here. I presume it's the same law over there, isn't it?
Yes, you can be prosecuted for failure to report if you're a mandatory reporter, but there's some gray areas, right? Sometimes kids tell stories, right? Sometimes a kid says they think they're a unicorn or they want to be a firefighter or an astronaut, right?
But we all understand. Well, to be honest, if you're around young people long enough, you'll know the difference straight away.
Right. It's like a poker game. Everybody's got to tell. Everybody's got to tell. And it's going to be a different kind of communication.
Just know. Yeah, you'll know when a kid is exaggerating you, as you were saying, or you know when a kid is telling the truth. If you're good at your job, you should know.
Well, after a fashion, and there should be enough training involved for you to get into that position in the first place.
Everyone gets trained. Everyone gets trained.
Right, to identify those kinds of communication when the child is in distress. And like Detective High was saying, that kid peed his pants. Obviously, there was a problem. Obviously, there was a problem.
Yes.
And I cannot tell you the cowardice when someone says, I don't want to help a child. I want to talk to my lawyer.
Yes.
If you'd just done the thing, you'd have been fine. If you'd have just reported appropriately, you'd have been good. And my voice is getting so irritated. All right, here we go, bud.
Man, I'm getting fucked up.
That's fucking wild. Like, especially if your own kiddo and then you don't even know, they come home, they're scared, they're confused, they have no idea what just happened, and then no one's telling them.
If you were the loyalty to the money above the kids.
Yeah, that's.
I think it's a mix of fear. I think it's the fear of there's a lot of shit there. I don't think it's like dirty money. I think it's a fear of losing your job. It's a fear of the people that are above you that are going to come back and get you. I think it's the fear of stepping out of line and then getting, reprimanded.
Bystander.
But like one of the cases that I had is a girl went to she got beat by her dad, who's a blood. He's a piece of shit. She got beat by.
So a blood is a African American gang in the United States, like Bloods and Crips, Blues, Reds, whatever.
Yeah, I remember watching the movie. Yeah, I remember watching the movie years ago. As much as I know
about Bloods and Crips. I've worked in places where the amount of people who claim ownership in those gangs is pretty high. So generally speaking, gang members, in the interest of furthering criminal enterprise, don't care. Right? They are callous. They are horrible. And just because, again, gang members are furthering criminal.
It's the nature of the work. Well, we'll say it's the nature of the lifestyle they're in as well. As they say, turn off their conscience. Which is,
sad. All right.
By her dad. And she went to a school counselor and said, my dad beats me. And the school counselor didn't report it. School counselor's notes were like, this kid's a liar. She lies a lot about how cool she was at another school. And you're like, oh, that's normal kid lying shit. What do I give a f about that? So she didn't report it. And then the next incident happened where this girl had a video recording of, I forget if it was either her dad post beating her or if it was during the beating or if it was of her injuries. I think it was of her dad punching her. And she walks into the counselor's office while she's with another girl, plays the video, and the woman's like, is that you? And she's like, yeah, that's me. And then the girl walks out of the office. And then later on in the day, the counselor goes up to her and is like, hey, listen, what's going on with that video? Like, is that you? Like, what's going on? She's like, yeah, that's me. My dad beats me all the time. And then the kid walked away.
Like, immediately that should have been reported. There should have been zero delay, even from the first one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, a child.
She literally walked in with video evidence and she watched the video, didn't? Hours later, by the sounds of this, Still ask the kid about it.
Two
Instead of
separate incidents. It's two
ringing up
separate
the
incidents.
yeah. Instead of ringing up the cops straight away and saying, "Look, this is what I have witnessed and discovered." When you send an
Because they're a
officer
mandatory reporter,
over.
and
Yeah.
she was compelled to do that and failed to do it, and then
Yeah.
went and found her later to ask her questions about it. Hey, was that really? It doesn't matter. It should have immediately been reported.
No, it
there
doesn't.
shouldn't have been a question there at all.
No, that is unbelievable.
I'm getting emotional about it, dude.
Yeah.
Not reported. Not reported. Not reported to CPS, not reported to the police. The third time is when my case comes in. The kid comes into school beaten and bruised and swollen, and then they remove the kid from the parent's custody, right? And then that's when I get the investigation of child abuse.
But it took 3 fucking times to
It
get
took
to
3
you.
times. The first time, it's easy. Hey, CPS. This girl says that she got beat.
CPS and New York, as well as California's Child Protective Services.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a similar service over here called TheA&P. But yeah, same the same job.
Same function,
Exactly
different name.
Same job, CBS over. Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on. Here you go. And then CPS begins an investigation. And then the law enforcement referral from CPS comes to me. And then if CPS brings her in, does an interview, and it's valid, I go talk to dad and arrest him. That didn't happen. The second time, there's video fucking proof. She's got a video on her phone and shows you. And then you do nothing. And
it's reprehensible. That is absolutely reprehensible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Wow.
Well, we do the if I were in your shoes kinds of things, right? I think were I in that counselor's shoes, I would have the courage to immediately report it on the first one.
Even with the evil prevails when good people do nothing.
Facts.
And a lot of, by the sound of it, this person was more interested in protecting their reputation and job than protecting the people that they're supposed to serve. In the counselor's case, it's supposed to serve the interest of the young person.
The people I want working at my children's school, I want them to have the courage of their convictions and be able to report as a mandatory reporter to the entities they're supposed to report to. Child Protective Services.
What I found
TSLA.
What I normally find on TSLA.
TSLA, okay.
What I normally find over here when it comes to school counselors and a lot of school counselors and a lot of people who work around young people, a lot of them are not hired because they have a passion for the job. They're hired because somebody got them the job. But they don't have a clue what they're doing at the best of times. And this sounds like this counselor doesn't have a clue what he or she is doing, not an iota. It's just like Johnny or Mary is looking for a job. Let's give him a job in the school there. This person probably by the sounds it doesn't have a clue what they're doing.
Right. Well, there's certain credentials that are required for you to get into these positions in the first place.
Yes, and just because a person has the qualification doesn't mean they're qualified to do the job. Obviously, in this case.
All right. So, Doubting Thomas, our producer, sent me Article 135, penal law, kidnapping, imprisonment, custodial, kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, labor trafficking, custodial interference, coercion, kidnapping, defense. So under Article 135, there's going to be a bunch of subsections that would go into that stuff. Thank you, Thomas. All right, back to the video.
Deserved.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so like those are the two. That's one that I'm directly involved in. That's one that I happen to know about that I'm not investigating. And I can tell you that myself and the people in my unit are concerned, but we've made complaints, and people in my chain of command above me have made complaints, and we've had to go back to be like, let's look at this address of the school.
So it's not just the detective, it's also his lieutenant and the people above the chain above him who are saying, we have this problem, we have this problem, we have this problem, and no one seems to want to address it. So he went on to unsubscribe with Eli Double Tap, donut operator Brian Herrera, that's Ethan, habitual line crosser, and the fat electrician. Like, that's a lot of reach. Yeah. So he went into a situation where he could reach out and touch the most people as possible to say, look, I'm blowing the whistle on this, and I support this decision 100%. right? If there's a bad thing going on and no one's going to listen to you, scream that shit from the rafters.
Very brave.
Yeah, it's
very brave.
Yeah, super proud
Seems
of this
a lot braver than most of the people involved in this scenario so far.
Yep,
a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bravery.
What's that?
What's the outcome you want on this? Like I don't.
I want the one school counselor that I investigated arrested for for failing to report. You're not a school counselor if you don't know how to tell people that a child's being abused. She needs to be arrested or at least charged. If you want to put her on probation, fucking fine. But something needs to happen. And I'm not saying it needs to happen as like there's no legal system. I'm saying that there has to be a repercussion. So then people who see if you don't report because you didn't report, that there's repercussions.
So like the people aren't reporting because they're worried the system will fuck them. But if you don't report, the system will fuck you too. So like you need to do your job.
It's like this dual concern, right? You don't have to talk to the police. Like everybody has their own individual rights for self-preservation. You know, your Fourth Amendment rights. You don't have to Miranda rights. You don't have to talk to me. But it's different when you're a mandated reporter, and it's different when parents aren't being told why their kid. If you've got a kid, you've got a kid, you've got a kid. You don't have a kid yet, not you either. Mm. If you picked up your fucking toddler from school and they pissed themselves and they're crying, and you're like, "Oh my God, what's Jimmy? What's going on with you?" The first thing you would do is go up to the teacher and be like, "Hey, what happened?" And you would expect a real answer. Somebody tried to steal Jimmy. What you wouldn't expect is for that school to delete video footage. What you wouldn't expect is for that school to be like, "Oh, you know what? I'm not sure. Something happened. You know, you'll have to talk to an administrator about it. I'm not sure. You know about it." It's people that are afraid of doing the right thing. Like these school teachers and principals are afraid to do the right thing. And like I said, we can guess why. I've got my own hypothesis. This is why. But either way, they're failing to do the right thing for one reason or another. And some of them are bad. And I'll give you another example. This case might have been a fluke. It could have been like, you know, kids experimenting and then one of them got scared. It could have been absolutely nothing. It still could be absolutely nothing. I've left 6 messages on a principal's voicemail saying, "Hey, I just need you to talk to me. I need the phone numbers of the parents. I only have the phone numbers of the kids. I don't want to call the kids. Please give me the phone numbers of the parents, of the adults of these kids, of the police report that you called 911 for to have police already show up. I just don't have the phone numbers for the parents, and I can't get a return phone call." How many times do I have to call a school principal to be like, "Hey, there's a potential assault"?
6 messages.
That's crazy. Yeah, that
6 messages. I can see where the first one might miss, the second one hits, and you're like, "Oh, I need to call Detective High and give him this information." Yeah. He's obviously conducting an investigation. And if I'm curious if he's actually conducting an investigation, I can call Detective High's lieutenant and say, "Hey, Lieutenant, is Detective Richard High conducting an investigation into a 911 call we made from this location?" "Oh, he is." "Cool. Yes. All right. Hey, here's the information. You can give it to him, or I will call him directly and give him the information." Right? You're impeding the progress of an investigation. And there isn't any reason. It's just, that's so cowardly.
Well, it's unbelievable. I think, as I said, they're more worried about their jobs and their paycheck than actually the kids are paid to protect.
Right.
It's, as I said, unfortunately, we have situations over in this neck of over in my country as well, exactly the same way.
And Detective High was talking about the Fourth Amendment, which is as follows: the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. So he's looking for information from the principal who has the information based on an investigation that he is doing that can be confirmed through either his superior or some other method. He's asking for phone numbers. So it isn't a violation of the Fourth Amendment at all. He's actively, by oath or affirmation, based on his job. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
As I say, over here, they use the Data Protection Act to hide behind.
Right.
So the guard, you have to go away, they have to go to the superintendent, get a warrant. It's a whole thing.
Right.
All because people want to
do the right thing as a mandatory reporter and just report it. And literally, he's looking for 2 phone numbers or 4 phone numbers if he wants to get both mom and pop for these kids. Right? They already called 911. There's an active investigation. He is not violating their 4th Amendment right. And if that principal doesn't want to talk to Detective High, he can call CPS and say, hey, CPS, the detective called me. Please give him this information because I have access to it. Here you go. If you don't want to talk to the cops, and you're a mandatory reporter, at some point you will make a 911 call when there's a kidnapping or there is a unlawful imprisonment or custodial interference, coercion, any of these things.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, there's a way to do it. And this principal, I'm sure, should have the training to do the thing, but failed to comply, not only with local law, but with a moral and ethical compass that apparently the one they have is busted.
Yeah. As I said, we have exactly the same issues over here as well.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's down to them protecting their jobs that most of them are lucky to have, because they probably won't get hired anywhere else.
Hey, Thomas, send me the Data Protection Act out of Ireland, would you?
Sure thing.
So, all right, we'll get back to the video so I can let him talk and be emotional so I can, here we go.
Yeah.
I just need to talk to the parents, and I can't get a return phone call.
It's fucking wild.
And like they're and for some reason they're protected. And my opinion from all of this and everything else is that it is the legal representatives of the Buffalo City schools that are advising, educating, scaring, whatever you want to say it is, to these administrators, teachers, counselors. Don't talk to police. Don't make a police report. Have the police report, instead of say sexual assault, make it information only. Well, you want to bury a sexual assault with a kid? Have a fucking cop show up and then have them write down everybody's name and say information only, and then don't forward it to special victims unit.
Yeah.
5 kids, 7 kids are by one other kid in the school, right? They're 14, he's 16. It doesn't fucking matter if it's not a crime or if it was consensual. If somebody says and I felt bad about it, it's my job to investigate it. Why are you stopping that? And so, yeah, I was going to do it on the main podcast. If you want to throw it at the end, that's cool. But I might be asking for financial assistance after this goes live, but I'm okay with it because
you're doing the right thing.
It's fucking me up. It's fucking me up. I can't deal with it no more.
Something that I've learned from our little podcast is ever since we've opened it up to like first responders, I've read a lot of those stories in there. And first responders do like PTSD. I think it's like for the active duty military, when you go to war, it's like it's highs and lows. Like you just get a shit show or nothing. Like it's all over the place. But first responders, it's just a constant thing. And like you being in the smack dab middle of both, bro, I don't know how you do it. Like people in general, like cops in general who deal with like sex crimes or child sex crimes, I couldn't do it. I'd be going to prison.
Because it's the idea of like the, at least when you're talking about military trauma, it's like that's over there.
You're in war. Well, that's the thing. You're in war. You are fighting the enemy. You're like, chances are innocent aren't. You're not taking the life of an innocent. It's very rare. You're fighting enemy combatants. You're shooting blah blah blah, and then you come back and you're like, oh, and it's a separation.
It's
versus here, and it's not the innocent you're seeing and then interacting with or pulling up to a crime scene, as you said. It's like, hey, there was a fucking drunk driver and a baby got smeared across the road. And then you have to go home immediately.
And know that's going on around you all the time.
Yeah.
It's like
different world.
It's like an acute injury versus just like sustained overuse injury almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drain on mental health for first responders is insane. That's
their
suicide rate is
I've seen that.
Yep.
I see that with frontline. Guardy myself over the years many times.
EMTs, detectives, correctional staff. Correctional staff get a lot of it because they're always dealing with the worst of the worst. Because people don't get incarcerated for following the rules, right? They're not there for following all the social mores, as it were. So, but yeah, they're right. It is a continued trauma every day, and you go from crime to crime to crime, in your 8, 12, or 16-hour shift all day is just negative, 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 and then you've got to do something about it, and it just wears on you. So here we go.
I would join the military and go to war over being a police officer. Oh, I'm so sorry. Any day.
Paper towels.
Paper towels. I got them right here. Boom. Because of that exact.
Thomas sent us on some information there about the Data Protection Act.
Send it. What do you got?
So he sent us on a summary there. So our Data Protection Act over here in Ireland is the principle is what they normally, when you're trying to access information of kids under the age of 16, you have to get, members of the Gardaí can access it, if a crime has been committed. Other than that, in normal sense, it can't be. Like over here, over there, data protection applies as well. But when there's a crime committed like this, a member of the Gardaí can request that information. If he gets assigned, I would put in a signed warrant from a superintendent saying, look, I need this information because this crime was committed, and they still lowboat it. As I said, we have similar issues over here. Very, very similar issues. And over here, it's down to they're scared of their funding being cut. They're scared of image. Scared of tarnishing the image of the organization they're working for, and so on.
So they don't want the destruction of the reputation. And then if it can affect funding, then in quotes, everybody's affected negatively. But if it's a crime and you have the Gardaí there and they're saying, hey, I need this information, they just say, nope, Data Protection Act. And then they have to go through.
And then the Gardaí have to go away and to go to the superintendent.
And then the punishment's the process. The punishment is the process, right? Oh.
And slow boats everything. And even when they do eventually get the information, it's just massive pushback always from a lot of these organizations because they don't want they don't want their image to be tarnished. They don't want this. They don't want that. And what's missing in all this, as this gentleman's trying to point out as well, this detective, is they forget the victim at the end state. That's what they seem to fail to protect.
Right, and the youth are the advancement of our civilization and our people.
Yes.
Right. And they need the protection of those who have been placed in charge, and they're not getting it appropriately. Yes. It would appear.
Pink lip. The smelling salts.
Are you available later?
Did you just do a line of energy drink?
Yeah. Ooh, I feel better after getting all that off my fucking chest.
Well, thank you for the dude, brother.
Bro,
Thank you.
I'm honestly I'm like for real. Like I'm fucking. I feel like I am gonna have some sort of repercussions because I'm trying to do the right thing.
We got you.
Bro, he's gonna reap the whirlwind on this one. We'll come back and see after a fashion, but I think that he's gonna have a tough road to hoe here. It's not gonna be good.
Yeah, the same thing happened to our Gardaí over here that blew the whistle. Some members of our Gardaí blew the whistle on corruption.
How courageous?
And they got absolutely.
How courageous is this detective? How courageous is this detective, bro?
Most of the pushback, actually, believe it or not, when it comes to whistleblowers like this detective or members of our Gardaí, most of the whirlwind usually comes from their own brothers in arms, you could say.
Well, this I think is probably going to have to come from the governor's office, right? Because of how law enforcement works in the United States and how you become a law enforcement agent. We can go into that in the future, but there's a process to becoming law enforcement and getting granted the ability to use deadly force in line with your job and safety pay and safety officers and all that stuff. So we can go into it, but that part's not as important right now. As let's talk about what's going on with these kids.
Like I feel like people,
you have so many people that will have your back on that.
Dude, we will show our ass to make that happen.
I did it already.
On a different issue, you did literally do that.
Do cops have whistleblower protection? I know military does. Like, honest question.
Well, I mean, there's a whistleblower protection for everybody. So yeah, and like if there's like a legal thing where they're going to come after me, I bet you.
So there's a couple things that are going on here. One of them is a qualified immunity situation. And the other is a lot of states have a POBAR, which is a Peace Officer Bill of Rights, where you can be interacted with, and the union will put their 2 cents in, and how it is peace officers can be interviewed, and requirements and all those kinds of things. So certain kinds of qualified immunity and a POBAR for almost all law enforcement at city, county, state, and federal level. So, but you'd have to look up. Go ahead.
You know what the interesting thing is? We only recently started enforcing those whistleblower laws when it comes to our own law enforcement. When, as I said, members of the Gardaí spoke up about corruption.
Right. And
it was interesting to see how the Gardaí themselves reacted to their own whistleblowers. We'll cover it another time. I will send you on the news articles. The most of the backlash that came wasn't actually from the public, but from other members of the Gardaí who were harassing his family. One particular case.
Not acceptable. If your job as law enforcement is to protect the body politic, right, you should be protecting your citizens. So, all right, let's get back to this.
Pretty much,
There's going to be a legal thing where they come after me, and I don't know how I'm going to be protected or what that's going to be.
It's worked out for you so far.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know what I don't know what's going to be so far, but like the things that I just said, you know, right, and because I'm concerned about them. It's well, you said the one case is mine, and that's how I know about it. But like these are concerns from higher ranking people in the Buffalo Police Department. These are concerns from patrol people in the Buffalo Police Department. These are concerns from the district attorney's office. Like the district attorney's office is like, you know, Rich, like I know what you're dealing with. This is fucked up. I've got this. I've got that. This is going on. That's how I know that. Like the lawyers from, or that's the information that I'm getting that, you know, back up that thinking that the lawyers that represent the schools are not just not responding, but also obstructionists, which is, you know, what the, you know, like, and if I can be frank, I think everybody in the world is going to be like, so let me get this right. You're a lawyer, and instead of assisting the police department in protecting kids because you represent the schools, instead of assisting them, you're going to intentionally obstruct them. You're going to not respond to subpoenas. You're going to not respond to court orders. You're going to think that you're so high above the law and you've got no repercussions have happened to them because, like, you need somebody above a judge. Like, what's the judge going to do? Hey, give this to me. Yeah, I haven't given you.
So a court order is an order from the judge or an order from the bench to perform a task or whatever. Yeah. It's in line with like, hey, you were supposed to come in and do a deposition and you didn't do it. So now I am ordering you to do it. And then if you don't do the thing, then you're in contempt of court. And then if you end up being in contempt of court, I will imprison you until you do the thing, right?
And also over here, if you don't follow a court, if a judge orders a solicitor to do a thing and they don't do it, not only can they jail you, but they can report you to the Bar Association and get your license pulled.
Get disbarred. Yep.
If all comes to all. Yeah.
Yep.
Do they have the same over there?
Yes. Yes, we have something similar, like very, very similar. If you fail to comply, you can in fact get disbarred. But then again, if judges fail, judges can also get disbarred and lose their spot on the bench as well.
Yes.
So, but they're generally lifetime appointments. But that's small potatoes. Let's get back to this thing.
Anything, and I'm not going to give you anything, and nothing happens. Like, where the f else do you go? The commissioner of police can't do shit about that. I mean, maybe we can make an arrest here or there, but then we need the assistant district attorneys and the district attorney of Erie County to have her back and do that. And if there's assistant district attorneys that are like, dude, these lawyers aren't even responding to us. Like, we don't know what, like, we got to get somebody higher above our DA to do something, or the DA to do something. I don't know, like, who can do something. And it's gotten so bad in the schools that, like, this is my, like, I don't know. I just, you know, like, talking to a shrink and fucking, and this.
I just hate how bad it's gotten to the fact where you believe that the unsubscribed podcast is the best outlet, because Jesus Christ.
Bro.
I mean on the plus side,
I can guarantee this will light a fuck that school
on the
system.
plus side.
That's part two, because it's like, because, you know, we know you, we love you, we're here for you. Like, we're
I know that you guys will do your best to protect me, but at the same time, like, if these people are like, hey, because I know what's going to happen, right? I'm not an idiot. I've been around the legal system long enough, and I know how if you shake the right tree, something's going to happen. Like, I know what's going to happen is they're going to say that whatever I said, they're going to pick it apart. They're going to go through all my videos. They're going to go through this right now, what I'm saying. And they're going to go, you violated this, and this of your department's policy and procedure. And they're going to go, and you violated this, and this of whatever procedure. And you should be fired. You need to be removed. You're suspended. And here you go. And so what's going to happen is a guy, myself, if I can toot my own horn, who's a hard worker, who's been crushing his cases, who my lieutenant and my chief of detectives can vouch as like an asset in whatever unit I go to, especially under the investigative unit of being, special victims or others. Like
a good ass cop.
Yeah.
Like a good ass police officer.
So I know that I just know the squeeze is going to happen to where there's going to be, I feel like there's going to be negative repercussions on my career, and they're going to come after me for it, because just that, if nobody else has done this yet, why?
Wait, I guarantee we could pull way more money than their attorneys do. I guarantee we can pull way.
Do we know who the attorneys are?
I don't know the names of the attorneys. But I can say that they are the attorneys that represent the Buffalo school system, and that they are attorneys that have been receiving subpoenas, and that those attorneys that have been receiving the subpoenas have not been responding to them.
I'm pretty comfortable dying on the hill of protecting kids.
Which is like totally morally, I'm 100% in the right. Morally, like, fuck off. I know what I'm doing, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be negative repercussions. And like, that's one of those weird things where, like, I love being a cop. I'm not going to stop being a cop. I could have this career, but I love.
Hey, Thomas, what recourse can they have if the attorneys who work for a governmental agency are failing to comply with deposition subpoenas and deposition subpoena duces tecums and, in fact, court orders? Is there a way that they can come back on that?
That has a lot to do with the district, right? So that's completely dependent on the district and how they handle it, and whether the district attorney or the judge will do something about it. And
but if they fail to comply, is there a political entity that can compel them to do that? There should be. As
a legal entity that could compel them to do that, but a political entity that compel them to do that,
I don't. An appointed position, right? An appointed position in the state of New York. Does someone have that power, or is that the governor's bailiwick? Is that the governor going to have to say, hey, like, I'm in charge of law enforcement for the state as the governor of the state, right? The executive branch of the state, right? Is there
the governor could put a hammer down.
Okay, but so
at the end of the day, it's the prosecutors.
Or the lieutenant governor can do a thing here, right? Because on this one, I guarantee you, this detective's he's probably achieved escape velocity since he's got the receipts for this, or he wouldn't have come forward in the first place. But I don't know that the governor of the state of New York is going to be complicit with that or going to want to do something about it. Like, I don't know that governor very well. I'm a few thousand miles away from that, so. All right, if you find something on that, just break in and give us a holler. All right, Thomas?
Yep.
Love being a cop, but I'm worried that my thing is I think they're going to suspend me for an investigation. They're going to take a good detective that does the right things off the fucking streets for an indefinite period of time. What my biggest fear is, I don't think I'll lose my job for it, even though I know they'll come after me for it. My next biggest fear is that they're just going to take me off the table and they're gonna fucking put me on administrative leave for 10 years until I'm forced to retire.
The punishment is the process,
and I'm never gonna be able to help a kid again, and that's gonna make me cry
as he sips from his bad bitch mug.
We'll make sure that
I love arresting bad guys.
You make a change, brother.
I feel like Rich is.
You got contacts in the White House. You got contacts in the Pentagon.
I'll put it this way: we got some contacts that could probably make this
terrifying for a lot of people.
Yeah, well,
it's all fun and games until you get a call from your boss's boss's boss.
Yeah. So like
in DC.
So I knew, and like not to, pump you guys up, but you're kind of a big deal.
You ever see Good Will Hunting?
What's that?
Good Will Hunting.
What about it? Yeah, one of my favorite movies.
Is that the autistic guy who
Williams.
what's
Robert Williams telling him? It's not your fault.
Oh, bro, don't.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, that's my line.
It's not your fault.
It's not my fault. I know. Well, I didn't cause the situation, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to catch flack for it. And I'm okay with catching flack for it. What I don't want is to like not do the thing that I'm good at that I love.
We'll make sure that never happens.
Yeah, you got a million homies.
Yeah.
We will dump whatever's needed to keep that going.
goes to war.
I'll fucking.
Looking at our combined numbers, it's like my gang's bigger than yours.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't know if I'm invited, but I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah. So,
Fuck. Well, that was a little heavy.
Crime for the mandated reporter to not report it, though.
Yes.
say that again.
Is it not a crime for the mandated reporter to not report?
Let me tell you something, right? It's a slippery slope, which is one of the reasons why I think there's been like some pushback. I don't say pushback, but it's a slippery slope, and that's why it's difficult to charge not reporting when you're a mandated reporter. In New York State, there is New York State penal law. I forget which one it is, but it's failing to report, right? Now, that can fall under, I'll give you two examples that are very different, right? Failing to report can be the situation that I talked about the girl going to a school counselor and saying, that something's happening to me and them not reporting it, right? It can also technically under the law, right, the white and black of it, it can also be done if you beat up your kid, a 911 call, and I am a police officer and I come up and I arrest you for that and I take you to jail, but I don't report it. So that's one of the things that's kind of keeping like the police, I think, potentially at bay, is that there's instances where the police made an arrest, but they didn't report, which is like, to me is bullshit. They made the arrest has been affected. A rookie cop would assume that I've done literally the highest amount of shit I can do. I've effected an arrest. I haven't just taken a report and sent it forward. I've made an arrest. New York State now knows that this person has been arrested for child abuse, and they bring him in. And so I know that that's one of the issues when it comes to going for somebody that has a failed to report. Because if the legal system is the legal system, if you do it for one person, you got to do it for them all. And sometimes, people in the legal system don't see the gray. And the gray is the police officer made a good judgment by effecting the arrest and maybe failed to report. But in that failure to report, it wasn't an intentional failure to report. He made an arrest and assumed that was enough, which I think we can all agree is like an understandable mistake. Yeah. Right? You put that in front
when you have a good system, it works.
Yeah.
If you effect an arrest, why should you have to make a report? That should be done by maybe a report technician or by New York State by checking a box and saying, oh, hey, this person was arrested for this. We'll fill out this report automatically from CPS. But that's very different from my example of the school counselor failing to report not once, and I'll even let that one slide. Like, fuck it. Hey, my dad beats me. All right, this kid's a liar a little bit. Where are the bruises? I don't see any bruises. Well, I stay home. So then I don't have bruise up that well. Like, all right, this is weird. You should report that. But everybody makes a mistake. All right, cool. You got one. But if some kid fucking shows up to you with a recording on their phone and says, hey, this is me, and then walks away, and then later on in the day, you go back to that kid and then confirm that it's them.
Definitely.
100%, right?
That's
100%. Like he's
Absolutely
100%
crazy.
correct there.
Fuck off.
Wow.
You don't get to do your job anymore because you can't. You're inept. So those are two different things. And that's one of the things that I've noticed is like this slippery slope thing. If you go against the counselor that did the obvious wrong, that can bring in litigation and say, well, we have to treat the officers that didn't do the CPS report, Child Protective Services report, when they made the arrest. But at the same time, like I said, there's gray, there's understanding. There is, what do we call it? Officer discretion. That officer discretion can be passed down to the fucking ADAs. Which means that if I see something happen, let's say a traffic ticket, you go through a stop sign, I have the discretion to not give you a stop sign ticket. The ADAs, the district attorney, has the discretion to say, all right, you effected an arrest. You weren't intentionally not reporting a CPS thing. You made an arrest and thought that was good enough. You made a mistake. Hey, next time, fix that, right? And then you also have the discretion to then arrest that school counselor that fucked up until the third time that kid came into school black and blue, and I had to arrest her blood father.
That's crazy.
So
we policing.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dude, I love it. It's great. And I never expected to have like this emotional like reaction to it. But like
it seems like the dichotomy between like it's awful to experience, but it's also awful knowing that if I'm not there to stop it, it'll keep going.
Yeah, and I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that. Like, dude, it's like being to fucking pump my own horn. It's like being a drill sergeant. If I see a private fuck up and they do the wrong thing, and all the other drill sergeants are like, "Well, you gotta be careful on that one. That one might make a complaint on you." I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to discipline that private. Well, the same thing here. Like, fuck the people that aren't doing their job. They should do their job. Especially when it comes to kids. Especially when it comes to kids. And if you make a mistake, hey, listen. We're reasonable people. We made a mistake. Don't do that again. Okay, cool. If you are, what would you call it? Reckless.
A cover-up.
A cover-up. Intentionally preventing the district attorney's office from gathering information after you're subpoenaed by court orders or judges, etc., then fuck you. If you're deleting evidence, you. So it's come to that point where oh man,
there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of failures in that system. There's so many things going wrong, and then people telling other people to do wrong things, right? The attorneys who are encouraging those. So there's a lot going on there, and it's very, very difficult to believe that those attorneys are saying those things to those members of the school, be they counselors or principals or whatever. Like that's unacceptable behavior. It's very unacceptable. Yeah.
And he's right. They should lose their jobs. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes.
No, none.
If you're not able to do your job, you should lose your job. Not only lose your job, you should be barred from ever doing that job again.
Or possibly criminally charged.
Yeah.
Right? You are inept, and your ineptitude caused someone to have serious physical, emotional, mental distress because you just screwed it up.
As I say, I wouldn't be surprised at this same school council, like a lot of these people who work in the youth services. I'm just thinking, talking from my own personal experience. I would say 10% are genuinely there to do their job, look after their kids, and have a genuine passion for the job. The other 90% are there because they wouldn't get a job at McDonald's and their parents got onto the board of directors or whatever school. Look, she's newly qualified or he's newly qualified. He's not having any chance you give him a start.
Right.
You know,
He's got she has all the appropriate certificates, but none of the real world acumen to understand.
Yeah, they're as dumb as a bag of rocks and completely inept. And I wouldn't be surprised if this counselor does sound like somebody who was a pity hire.
Well, part of the problem is that teachers do not get paid and are expected to exert their own funds to assist with their classroom stuff. It's insane. Like the people who teach our children should be getting paid a little bit more money. And after 10 or 12, 15 years, once they have some tenure or whatever in seniority, then they start making money. But the average wage to start is barely more than it is to work at some fast food burger flipper joint. Right? You have to do 4 years of school. Then you have to do
some of the wages over here.
Right.
There was a comparison on the wages in the US compared to the teachers in both places.
Right.
And our teachers here earn 3 times more than what they're paid in the United States, on average.
Yeah. Well, it's why your students are functionally better at this point. Yeah. So crazy. So crazy.
I have that information if you wanted me to interject at some point.
Send it, Thomas.
Okay, so everything that I have pulled up here in terms of mandatory reporting laws, you basically already covered. Mandatory reporting involves vulnerable populations, generally due to elder abuse, domestic violence, child abuse, multiple jurisdictions.
Okay.
In the Buffalo, New York area, which is what we're talking about here, the district attorney is Michael J. Kane. He is a Democrat district attorney out of the Erie County, New York area. He is appointed as the acting district attorney as of 2024. He was an acting district attorney before. I believe he was appointed when someone else had left.
Mm-hmm.
After John J. Flynn, he is responsible for this is a quote from the district attorney's office. He is responsible for overseeing all bureaus on the day-to-day operations of the office. Additionally, Keene is ordered to supervise all homicide, special victims unit, gun violation related cases, as well as other high-profile investigations, including the prosecution of murder victims and so on. Over the past 7 years, DA Kane has implemented specific changes to help modernize Erie County District Attorney's Office, including reorganizing all of the attorney staff assignments, enhanced training, legal education programs, launching and file discovery policies, and so on. He's also spearheaded the establishment of special prosecution bureaus, raised the age to unit protection juveniles, charged with serious offenses, conviction integrity, investigate corruption on all levels of government. I'm almost done. Prevent crime recidivism, so on and so on. A part of his commitment is to increase the diversity within the office. DA Keene has also helped create the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office and committee within the office, working with other federal government organizations. Additionally, DA Keene is a leader establishing the nation's first opioid court, confront to increase opioid overdose, and establish a DWI division treatment court program within the Buffalo court. Now, the reason I brought all that up is because he's been listed as, supposedly doing all of these different things. This is under his direct jurisdiction. So when cases aren't brought, when investigations aren't brought, it is because he's not performing them or he's not enforcing them. That is his job.
School district attorneys are not the attorneys that work for the DA. This DA's office has been sending court orders and deposition subpoenas and deposition subpoena duces tecums to the lawyers that represent the school district. They're two different entities, right? So the school board attorneys or the attorneys appointed to the school district are not the ones who work for the DA. Does that make sense? So the DA here is requesting these documents through the assistant district attorneys, right? And that's why Detective High is so just pissed about it. So
yeah, but the way I look at it is the buck stops with him. It's his job to make sure these investigations are being oversought, and if he's not, it's his job to investigate why the individuals who are supposed to be doing these cases are not. It's his job to weed out government corruption. It's his job to go after these attorneys and say, "It's your."
And Thomas, would he have the power to sanction these lawyers?
It looks that way, yes.
Oh, for sure.
So can go.
He could recommend them to the Erie or New York State Bar to get disbarred. He could do that. And as a DA, it would carry some pretty serious weight. So
yeah, it would. Yeah, and the part of the concern,
so if he did that, he did that, has that ever been done by a DA?
Yes.
I don't know, but it has been done many occasions.
So I sent this over to Alex. I haven't had a chance to really go over it very much, but there was a number of decisions about New York State Education Department members, like Board of Education members, being kicked out for things of matter disclosures. Namely, there was one here about violation of open meetings law, where they were discussing things in meetings that weren't supposed to be discussed with others. So it is well within their power to go after individuals that are violating what they're supposed to be doing. Whether there's a bit of compliancy or complacency here, whether they're setting up these commissions with DEI offices to not circumvent necessarily laws, but to get people supposed treatment instead of putting them in jail for committing crimes. Those are the sort of things that are called into question here.
Right.
But it does sound like, just reading between the lines with this detective, that even the district attorney's office is frustrated with these lawyers.
Right.
And my main question is, do we think in the future that this district attorney, once all this has obviously gone public, will he follow his moral conscience and drag these lawyers in front of the bar? Would you think?
He might be forced to.
Exactly.
So Detective High, like I said before, has achieved a sort of escape velocity on this one, right? Based on the body of his work, which is well done. He's a non-commissioned officer in the United States Army, law-abiding citizen, has done great work on the federal level, assisting with SVU-type crime. Currently, I believe he's working in Boston, assisting the federal government with some cases there, more SVU-type stuff. So hopefully in this instance, he can affect some kind of change. And we got to close this one up here. So let's get this last few minutes.
One more thing I'd like to interject with is that it's also about how these things are being reported. This was in 2021 and 2022, where multiple divisions, namely for school health, there was one post, I sent it to Alex there, the CDC's Division of Adolescent School Health, school administrations, and our LGBTQ inclusivity self-assessment tool can help you gauge inclusivity at your school, see your score today. And this is how they were assessing how schools were reporting different things, whether it was that the schools were being inclusive enough, that they were hiring the right type of teachers, that they were assigning the right board members, and those sort of things were causing issues where it was how things were being reported. So they were also changing up how crimes were being reported and how the inclusion of members of the Board of Education or members of teachers were reporting things. So it was also changing how things were reported to the federal government. We saw that with crimes between 2020 and 2024.
Got it.
How certain crimes were being reported to the FBI. So that could have something to do with it.
And box checking as far as quotas for certain kinds of things. All right, cool. Let's finish this thing up. Thank you, Thomas.
What the funny thing is? That's the same reasons over here as well, that a lot of these crimes get swept under the rug as well. It's all down to funding, it's down to image. It's interesting to see the correlation between both our countries when it comes to this issue.
I do hope that the DA is forced to deal with this and
yes
go beyond the reporting requirements that they've changed.
Right.
Stressing about it for like the past 5 days, ever since I decided that something had to happen and I didn't know what to do. And I was like, man, I think I'm going to bring it up on the podcast.
We got your back. I'll fucking
you are a bad bitch.
Dude, I picked the right mug.
Dude, thank you.
So, I'm not going to lie, though.
Thank you first off. Hey, thank you. Seriously, from
dead serious.
Thank you, brother. Like, that takes a lot of balls doing the right thing. A lot of people don't do the right thing, as it said.
My arm around you.
It's taken so much to not hug you the whole time.
Don't do it on camera. People don't need to see me be all weepy. And
How do you want us to start?
What's that?
How do you want us to start?
I think
we just did.
Yeah.
No, I know we did. Just what's the opening move?
I'm not gonna lie. Like hearing you talk about that, and then Brandon brought up the whole if you're not there, then who else is gonna do it?
There's a lot of people that care that don't know what to do, and they're like. We're trying to do it. We're trying to move it forward. And I'm like, it's not fast enough. This isn't, you know what? We've been in the same spot for 2 years. Heaven help us how long we've been in that same spot before I got to the Special Victims Unit, right? I know we've been in the.
Hey, Thomas, get me the 2 senators from New York and the representative that covers Erie County. If there's multiple representatives, get that. We can go ahead and put that in the notes. So if someone wants to contact the representatives for Congress that oversee this area, as well as the senators, maybe we can help light a fire on the son of a bitch, because this is absolutely not right.
The same spot since I became a detective and went to the Special Victims Unit in 2023. And if we were still in that, if that spot is where we're at now, I don't know how far back that beginning was. And like I said, there's a lot of good people in the ADA's office, in the commissioner's office of my police department. There are good people that have been trying to find a way to fix it, and they're frustrated, and they're limited with what they can do. They're just limited. Like, hey man, I'm pushing up the chain of command. I keep making these things. I keep saying these things, and I'm doing it. I'm not ignoring it. And like I said, it's been weighing on me. I started getting counseling last week.
No, that's a good thing, though. That's a really good thing.
It's been fucking me up. So I got counseling last week, and then
proud of you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. And then a couple of days ago, I couldn't sleep.
And we'll make a difference the best we can.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Oh, Rich, I think we can all say you're not ever going to be jobless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, I really like this job. I tell you, the police. I mean, I'm talking about police. Man, I really love being a cop. Man, I love being a cop.
Well, you know, outside of all the millions of fake people, you know, we all love you, brother.
Yeah, shut up. All right, let's say some jokes for the after show now.
Hey, Rich. I speak for the entire table. We will always have your back, no matter what, buddy. The entire community will rally behind you. Thank you so much for opening up, showing that side to the world. You and your lady, Tay, are amazing, amazing humans. Be proud of everything you've accomplished in this life and continue to accomplish. You guys are going to be fantastic parents. We are blessed to call you a friend. We are blessed to share the room with you and experience those laughs. We're blessed to call you a business partner. Keep kicking ass and taking names, man. To the audience out there that might not know Rich, Angry Cops, you're talking to a dude that loves being a police officer, loves being a detective. Most importantly, loves helping others. He is still in the military as a drill sergeant. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be a police officer. He chooses to be because he actually cares and he actually wants to make a difference. That is so rare to find a human like that. That's why he is a very, very, very good friend, and why I stress how lucky we are to have an individual like that in our lives. Be proud of yourself, man. I hope you know that. That is from all the love from all the guys. We are just blessed to have you in our lives, my friend.
Was Eli double tap from unsubscribe? Awesome. So what he did was very, very courageous. All his buddies there being in support of him, and he did the right thing. And if you don't think it's the right thing, then there are some issues with your moral compass. We'll go ahead and get those links in the video for the local representative, for Congress, maybe state senator, if we can do that too. For the senators and all those contact information. So if you have issues, problems,
we have them all there at the moment.
Yeah, alibi fires, all those things. Once we get this video uploaded and get all the stuff done, hope you guys can reach out and let somebody know that this is not right. So super emotional episode, Patrick.
Yeah, definitely very, 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 very hard one.
All right,
as I say, I worked around that service myself for many years, and
tears your heart out, right?
Yeah.
So give the likes, give the subscribes, hit the bell, do all the things. I want to thank Patrick McCallum and our amazing producer, Doubting Thomas, and we will catch you in the next one. Good day, all.